Hi friends, welcome to EduTap. Now as part of this video series, we shall be discussing the MCQs on Union Budget 2018-19. Now before we move ahead, let us have a look at how has EduTap covered Union Budget 2018-19. The first thing is an introductory video on Union Budget 2018-19 where we have explained at length as to how to approach this document from the point of view of examination. Second thing, we have provided extrapolated MCQs with detailed explanations. The third thing is this video series where we shall be discussing the MCQs. In this particular video, the questions from 1 to 10 shall be discussed. Friends, let us begin with the first question. So the first question says, the setting up of Ekalavya Model Residential School on par with Navodaya Vidyalayas has been proposed in order to provide quality education to which of the following sections of the society? Now, why is this question important for us? Because it is covered under the education and social justice topic of ESI paper. So let us have a look at the options. The option says girl children, tribal children, children belonging to the minority communities, children residing in empowered action group states, and children residing in northeastern states. Now friends, first just keep this in mind that this is a sample question which has been framed from this particular announcement. There might be other questions that are related to this announcement. Now to address those questions, we have provided detailed explanations in the document. So let us move ahead and see what are the other points that we need to keep in mind. So friends, the first thing, these schools are to be set up on the lines of Navodaya Vidyalayas. Okay, so this is an announcement which was made. Next thing, this particular category of schools would cater to tribal children. So we have found our answer here to the tribal children. What is the target year by which such schools would be set up? By the year 2022. So kindly note these points. For tribal children by the year 2022 in every block. Now, what is the eligibility criteria? What kind of blocks are to be selected for setting up of such schools? So the criteria being every block with more than 50% of ST population and at least 20,000 tribal persons. So please note this point from the exam point of view. Now we shall be having a look at some of the important features of Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalayas. The first thing, this scheme, that is Navodaya Vidyalaya scheme, was started in the year 1985 and 86. So note this point. The next thing, this scheme is run by Navodaya Vidyalaya Samiti, right? So this is an autonomous organization and it falls under the Department of Ministry of Human Resource and Development. So this is important to note. Next, what is the purpose of these schools? These are specifically tasked with finding talented children in rural areas of India to provide them the best of educational facilities. Now let us move on to the second question, which says, in order to set up investment in research and related infrastructure in leading educational institutions, a major initiative, RISE, that is Revitalizing Infrastructure and Systems in Education, has been launched. So how much amount has been announced for investment in the next 4 years in this scheme? So the first thing, it's a very factual question. It comes under the education topic of ESI paper. So what needs to be remembered from the exam point of view? The first thing, allocation, 1 lakh crore, right? So this is something we need to note. Next thing, for the next 4 years. So these are the two takeaways. So kindly keep in mind the allocation plus the target year, that is by the year 2022. Now, how is this particular scheme, that is the RISE scheme that has been announced, going to be financed? So it is going to be financed via HIFA. HIFA is nothing but a restructured higher education financing agency. Now this is basically set up as a non-banking financial company. So in the MCQ documents of the budget 2018-19, we have given at length about HIFA. kindly go there and have a look at the important points like when was it set up, what is it actually, and what is the amount allocated for HIFA in this 2018-19 budget. So these are some of the points which needs to be noted from the point of view of examination. Now friends, kindly go back and refer to the document which gives an elaborate explanation regarding the present status of HIFA. This is also important from the point of view of our examination. Now let us discuss question number 3. So it says that in the Union Budget 2018-19, the government has announced that it would launch Prime Minister's Research Fellow Scheme, under which the best BTech students will be identified each year from premier institutions, and they would be provided facilities to do PhDs in IITs and IISc with a handsome fellowship. Now, what is the question? It relates to how many students would be provided with the fellowship each year. Now again, this question would be mapped to the education topic under the ESI paper. So basically it's a very factual question. This is a very straightforward question, and the answer to it is 1000 best BTech students will be provided the fellowships each year. Now this is the only one factual information that you need to keep in mind regarding the announcement. The other thing is we can note that which category of students are to be selected and what are the avenues that are being provided to them as part of this Prime Minister's Research Fellow Scheme. Now moving on to the fourth question, it says what has been the allocation for the National Social Assistance Program in the Union Budget 2018-19. So basically friends, we need to understand that this is just a sample question which has been framed from this announcement of Union Budget 2018-19. What we need to do is to prepare ourselves for our examination. It's very important for us to not only know the allocation, but we also need to understand and keep in mind the various features of this particular scheme, that is the National Social Assistance Program. The allocation that has been made this particular scheme is 9,975 crore. So basically there might be questions apart from the allocation. So to address those questions, we need to keep the following points in mind: that this scheme was started or launched in the year 1995. Kindly note this point from the exam point of view. Then, what is the objective of the scheme? Now, the relevance of this scheme with regard to our examination is social justice topic of the ESI paper. Basically, it is a scheme to support the aged persons, widows, disabled persons, bereaved families on death of primary breadwinners belonging to the below poverty line households. So just keep in mind the objective, the launch date. Now moving forward, let us see what this particular NSAP scheme comprises of. So it comprises of Indira Gandhi National Old Age Pension Scheme, Indira Gandhi National Widow Pension Scheme, Indira Gandhi National Disability Pension Scheme, National Family Benefit Scheme, as well as Annapurna. So kindly keep in mind these components. Okay, and as well as it is important to understand the eligibility and features of each of these subcomponents of the scheme. So in the content sheet of the social justice chapter, we have very elaborately provided details regarding these schemes. Now moving on to the next question friends, as part of a newly announced Ayushman Bharat program, the government has announced two major initiatives in the health sector. So which of the following are these two initiatives? Let us see what are those. Revamped maternity benefit program, eradication of TB program, major allocation for health and wellness centers, national health protection scheme, and AIDS eradication program. So basically this question can be mapped to the health topic of the ESI paper. This is a very direct question. We need to know the name of these two initiatives as well as what are the various provisions that have been announced under these two initiatives. Now, what are the two initiatives? The first thing is announcement of health and wellness centers plus the National Health Protection Scheme. Now, in order to cover these two initiatives in a holistic manner, we have covered them in the form of MCQs that we shall be discussing in the coming slides. Coming to the sixth question, friends, how much amount has been allocated for the establishment of 1.5 lakhs health and wellness center? So again, this question is mapped to the health topic of the ESI paper. This is a factual question. We need to know the amount which is being allocated. Now here we have found the answer for the question that we were addressing. That is, the budget has allocated rupees 1200 crore for this flagship program. Now let us have a look at the background of these health and wellness centers. So basically the government has come out with the national health policy in the year 2017. In that policy it was mentioned that these health and wellness centers would act as a foundation of India's health system. So from the exam point of view, what are the points that we need to keep in mind? First thing, that these centers were mentioned in the National Health Policy of 2017. The second thing, how many centers would be established? 1.5 lakh centers would be opened, right? The third thing, the budget allocation that we had discussed as part of the question. Now, what these centers would provide? So they would provide comprehensive healthcare that would include non-communicable diseases. It would also include maternal and child health services. The next thing it would provide is free essential drugs and diagnostic services. So these points are more than enough from the exam point of view. Now here we have explained that what does the National Health Policy 2017 say about wellness? Now kindly go through the MCQs document of Budget 2018-19 so that you get a background of this particular scheme. Now friends, let us move on to the next question. So which of the following are the salient features of the National Health Protection Scheme that was announced by the government as part of the Union Budget 2018-19? So as already seen, there are two major initiatives, right? The first one was the establishment of health and wellness centers, and the second scheme which we are talking about is a National Health Protection Scheme. Now when we cover this question, we shall be covering the important features of the scheme, which is very important from the point of view of examination. So kindly note these points. So this scheme will cover over 10 crore poor and vulnerable families. Okay, so it would be roughly covering about 50 crore beneficiaries. The second thing, the scheme would provide a coverage of up to rupees 5 lakhs per family per year for secondary and tertiary care hospitalization. So it is very important for us to keep in mind this amount, right? Rupees 5 lakh. The third thing, this is said to be the world's largest government-funded healthcare program. So as seen here, all of the above statements are correct regarding the features of this scheme. So kindly keep these things in mind. So 10 crore poor people, right? Rupees 5 lakh per family, and it is said to be the world's largest government-funded health program. So we have already discussed the important features of this National Health Protection Scheme through the options that we had elaborately discussed in the previous slide. Now let us move on to the next question. So it says, which of the following statements is or are correct regarding the scheme Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana? So basically, first thing, why are we covering this scheme? So the National Health Protection Scheme that has been announced in the Union Budget 2018-19 is a health insurance scheme, right? So we need to cover the existing health insurance scheme as well. So this is important from the point of view of examination. Let us have a look at the statements. The first one says, this is a health insurance scheme that aims to facilitate launching of health insurance projects in all the districts of the states in a phased manner for BPL workers. Next one, unorganized sector workers belonging to BPL category and their family members, a family means a unit of 5, shall be the beneficiaries under this particular scheme. This scheme was under the Labour and Employment Ministry until the year 2015. Next, in 2014, a revamped Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana was launched, which was to be administered by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare with effect from 1st April 2015. Now, all these statements stand correct with regard to this scheme. So friends, it is important to understand what is the purpose of this scheme, right? Who are the beneficiaries as part of the scheme? The third thing, under which department of the ministry was the scheme run until April 2015, and what is the new department or the ministry under which this scheme is transferred to. So kindly keep these 4 points in mind from the exam point of view. Now let us have a look at the other features or the other important points that one needs to keep in mind. So this particular scheme, that is the Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana, had become fully operational from 1st April 2008. So friends, kindly note this year from the exam point of view, right? What are the other things that you need to know? So it provides for IT enabled and smart card based cashless health insurance. This is also important, right? And it includes maternity benefit cover of up to rupees 30,000 per annum to BPL families. Now again, this is also important. We need to keep this fact in mind as well. Now kindly go through the objective of the scheme to have an overall idea. That is also very important. Now here we are going to have a look at the revamped Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana. It is very important for us to know when this particular scheme was revamped. So kindly keep this date in mind. October 2014 was when there was a launch of revamped Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana. Now kindly go through the document and keep in mind the features of the revamped Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana. That is for us to remember. Now let us move forward to the 9th question. So this question says, which of the following statements are correct with regard to the maternity benefit program? Now friends, why have we included this question in this document? Now there was a change which was being done to this maternity benefit program as part of the Union Budget 2018-19. Now to address that particular change, we have included this question. So we need to understand that not only that change is important from the perspective of examination, but also what is the general features of this particular scheme is important. So let us see what are the statements given here. So Pradhan Mantri Matritva Vandana Yojana, which was rechristened in 2017 as the maternity benefit program, is a conditional cash transfer scheme for pregnant and lactating mothers of 19 years age and above. This is the first statement, right? Let's move on to the second one. Second one says a cash incentive of rupees 6,000 is provided. Correct? Third statement says, in the Union Budget 2018-19, there was a change that was made to a provision of a scheme where the cash incentive would be provided only for the first live birth instead of the earlier two. So friends, all these statements, statement 1, 2 and 3 stand correct with respect to the maternity benefit program. So let us see, as part of our preparations, what are the points that we need to note. First thing, this maternity benefit program was earlier known as Pradhan Mantri Matritva Vandana Yojana. Okay, so keep this point in mind. The second one, when was it called the maternity benefit program? So this January 2017. Keep this in mind as well. The third thing, it is a conditional cash transfer scheme. Very important point to note. Fourth, it is for lactating and pregnant mothers of 19 years age and above. This is the fourth point, right? Next, how much incentive is being provided? Rupees 6,000. Fifth point, sixth is a change that is being done in the Union Budget 2018-19. Now friends, kindly go through the MCQ Union Budget 2018-19 document for a further explanation for maternity benefit program. So this is something which you need to go and refer to the document. Again, here we see certain important points that are included which needs to be referred. Let us discuss the last question, which says that in the Union Budget 2018-19, what has been the allocation as a whole for the health sector? So basically these are the budget estimates 2018-19. So this can be mapped to the health sector of the ESI topic. So basically the allocation has been 54,667 crore. It's a very factual question. It is important to memorize these numbers. So kindly note this from the exam point of view. So friends, as part of this video, we have covered questions 1 to 10. Now in the next video, we shall be covering questions numbering from 11 to 20. Till then, thank you friends. Happy learning.